From Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, 6 December 2023. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. In what has been described as an act of aggression by Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro on Tuesday night, where he declared a new map of Venezuela incorporating the Essequibo region of Guyana, Maduro posted on Facebook and translated into English, "I've ordered to immediately publish and take out all schools, municipal councils, public establishments and universities, and in all homes in the country, a new map of Venezuela with the Guyana Essequibo." He said, "This is our believed map." Following Maduro's social media proclamation, Guyana's President Dr. Irfan Ali addressed the Guyanese people via television at approximately 11 p.m., assuring them that he and his administration will resolutely protect the country's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Dr. Ali said, quote, "The measures announced are in blatant disregard of the order given by the International Court of Justice on December 1st, 2023. Guyana views this as an imminent threat to the international and territorial integrity and will intensify precautionary measures to safeguard its territory." Ali said he spoke on Tuesday night to the Secretary General of the UN and several leaders, alerting them of this dangerous development and the desperate actions of President Maduro that fly in the face of international law and constitute a grave threat to international peace and security. UWI economist Professor Roger Hussein says the country is significantly underperforming in attracting more tourists to TNT. He said while Jamaica and Barbados have returned to pre-pandemic levels of tourism arrivals, contributing much needed forex to their local systems. Professor Hussein said the crime situation in TNT is also an issue that needs to be effectively addressed to encourage an improvement in tourism arrivals. He also said there have been significant gains in the manufacturing sector. The types of businesses, however, are not necessarily net forex earners for TNT. An increase in girls under the age of 15 giving birth in the region has been observed since the COVID-19 pandemic, according to the UN Population Fund Director and Representative Elizabeth Arnold Talbot. Talbot called on stakeholders in the audience on a one-day during the end of high-level meeting at Hyatt in Port of Spain to look at data that's not always upfront, including the under 15 fertility rate. She said, "We're able to look at these and see it's increasing, especially that after COVID-19 period." Talbot said young people need information and full access to sexual and reproductive services, and the approach should be non-judgmental and adolescent-friendly. She said they need comprehensive sexual education in both in and out of schools, including empowering young people by eliminating legal barriers that limit the sexual reproductive health information and services to young people. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, commends the government of Guyana for its economic management, including the implementation of policies and initiatives geared at transforming Guyana's economy. The findings were published following an official IMF mission visit to Guyana in September. The IMF in its findings highlighted Guyana's real GDP is expected to continue to grow rapidly, adding Guyana achieved the highest real GDP growth in the world in 2022 at 62.3%. And finally, the World Health Organization, WHO, says too few states were using tax incentives for healthier country policies, needed to increase their taxes on alcohol and sugar-sweetened beverages, saying too few states were using tax to incentivize healthier behaviors. After studying taxation rates, the WHO says the average global tax rate on such unhealthy products was low, adding hiking taxes could result in healthier populations. The WHO says 2.6 million people a year die from drinking alcohol, while more than 8 million die from having unhealthy diets. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Listen, guess what today is? It's hump day.
That's right. It is Hump Day Wednesday. Good morning, neighbors, on this Wednesday morning, the 6th day of December. That's right, 6th day of December, 19 days to Christmas. I'm just saying. So good morning to you. Full casting this morning. You just heard from Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Raghubarse. We got Ruben in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. All right, let's get straight into the WTs, see what's happening, weather and traffic-wise. Traffic-wise, most schools will probably be closed from today. I got nothing really to tell you about the volume from Trin City to UE. Monroe Road's got a little volume, got an accident to tell you about. And it is in the vicinity of Monroe Road. As you head northbound, just before Monroe Road, you get into that. All right. I don't know how serious it is. I didn't see anything as yet. I'm checking now. I don't know if it's north or southbound. All right. So that's creating a little pile up there this morning. Upon that, the sun is clear. Nothing to tell you about in San Fernando, Unia, Rivulet Road, heading to Point Lisas and Cuba. Got some traffic. But after you pass that accident on the Solo, it's clear. No problems. No problems out of the west. Yep. So it's a lighter day than usual. 24 degrees with a little pitter-patter around in Piarco. You've got 26 degrees in Crown Point in Tobago, where the weather is going to be like for today. I'm just checking the Met Office. Updated it. They said partly cloudy, and windy at times with the occasional shower or rain. There is also the medium 40% chance of a heavier shower or thunderstorm. Maximum forecast temperature for both islands today would be 32. All right. So that's your temp and your weather for Trinidad and Tobago. Checking some temps across our listenership. It's -1 in Toronto, partly cloudy. In Miami, you're sitting at partly cloudy as well, and 17. Orlando, 13. New York, you're clear and 2 degrees. Atlanta, 7 and clear. London, sunny, but 2 degrees. Tampa, you're at 15. Washington, D.C., you're cloudy and 4 degrees. All right? Quickly, let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. Let's start out with YouTube and Facebook. Ooh, a lot of messages. Oliver Man Warren, DJ Ray out in Tampa. Rena Budu Jennings, woohoo, good morning, she says. Wayne B. in Covington, Georgia. Garcelia out in Baltimore, Maryland. Marcia Rock, Brenda Isaac, Trinidad Margot, Shireen Jack, good morning. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, good morning. Ewart Rajpal, Listra Lodge, good morning. Merry Christmas, all those fabulous. Have a great day and a fabulous day as well. Slick Money Grip, it's Hump Day, the weekend. Anthony Tinto out in a cold Canada, and belated birthday to my friend Sundar Parsan, visiting from Brampton. Okay, all right. Wendy Ann James, Dennis Prasad, Charlene Sean, good morning to you, watching us on YouTube and or Facebook. I've got Dan Raj, good morning to you. I've got Michael from London. Good morning to you, Michael. Hope all is well. Right. Okay. And that's on WhatsApp at 318-1021. So let me say good morning to two of the guys so far. Good morning, gentlemen. What's happening? It's Hump Day Wednesday.
No, I'm Tim. You know, I always give way to seniority.
I'm trying to figure out where he is. I know he's not in the newsroom.
He's somewhere with a small television hanging up behind him.
Yeah.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone.
He slept.
Where I'm at 6 degrees. That should give you a hint.
Ah, okay.
Oh, you're
going back there again?
to find out what the heck wrong with you.
You're a sucker for punishment, boy.
I like cold weather. What can I say? I'm a hot guy.
Oh, Lord, no.
I'm not even going there.
No. I might actually end up somewhere with cold just now, yes?
It is actually 5:10 here. Okay? So I got up early.
All right. Yeah. Yep. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, all you wonderful people all over the globe who continue to wake us up and stay with us every single morning that we are on air. It's not an easy task, I know, but we are so happy to have you in our lives. You know? And let me get this out of the way quickly. I have two tributes I want to make. One, of course, is a continuing tribute to Terry Rondon, whose wake
funeral is today.
Yeah, I went his wake last night in Trinity by his home. A wake like I've never gone to before. People like rain, the streets filled with people. And there was para music. Joey Lewis Orchestra was there in the front lawn playing. I mean, it was an amazing event. You know, a lot of tributes. People went up and spoke prayers. I saw the new mayor of Arima there, the new chairman at Tunapuna Piaco, Mayor Lisa Morris Julian, former MP Alicia Hospitalis spoke, vice chairman of Samuel Lavantil, Kwesi Antoine. Lots of people were there, you know. Deputy Mayor Porter Spain, Abina Hartley. You know, it was a very nice, huge turnout. And a lot of people from the Toko Sangre Grande area came down to pay tribute to Terry last evening. Last evening was the Women's League version of the wake. So it was a really nice tribute. And then secondly, a very good friend of mine who helped me tremendously in my years in politics, especially when I started off campaigning, Don Ramdeen. Everybody should know Don Ramdeen. Passed away 2 days ago. His funeral is also today. Don Ramdeen was a businessman in St. James. He was the man who had all those trucks and tractors and trailers, you name it. Me and Don used to have some interesting conversations, you understand? But he was a very generous man to the people in St. James and general, and to the music fraternity, to the sporting fraternity. He helped everybody. You understand? He's been ailing for a little while and he passed away on Monday. His funeral will be today, right? So Don Ramdeen, I remember you. I have so much fond memories of you, you know, and of course to your family. He didn't have any children, you know, but I know he was, I was following in his footsteps. I think he had about 3 or 4 wives, you know, but he was a really nice person, you know, so happy, you know, I will miss you, Don. The whole of St. James will miss you for sure. You know, and also happy birthday to my very, very good friend who is having a birthday party later that I cannot miss. Irene Hines is celebrating her birthday today. Former councillor, former alderman, now operations officer of the People's National Movement. One of the hardest workers you will ever meet anywhere. Today is her birthday and she's having a bash. Today's her 60th birthday. Happy birthday, Irene. I will definitely be there. All right. Oh, today is also David Manning's birthday. Let me finish off birthdays. David Manning is today. My former brother-in-law, Anthony Lewis, is today. I had a message, Anthony, man. Henry Meng, whom I met in China, he's celebrating his birthday today. Diane Chris, she is also celebrating her birthday today. And my cousin, who lives out there in Canada, Gloria Strong Hinkson, she is also celebrating her birthday today. So happy birthday to you all. Oh, how could I forget those others? Giovanni Potts is also celebrating her birthday today. Remember him?
It's only a 3-hour show, I'm just saying.
No, I didn't realize I had that long birthday list today. So happy birthday to you all. All right, I'm done for the time being.
So you had 3 or 4 wives?
But I only had 2. But Don had, I think, 3 or 4, I think.
Okay.
You know?
And you still have 2 more to go then.
Well, as I said, I seem to have been following in his footsteps.
Is it a waistcoat you have on there?
A waistcoat? No, it's a T-shirt, actually. It's a football T-shirt. I don't know if you can see it.
It's like a waistcoat.
No, it's a football T-shirt. First time I'm wearing it. I just thought, you know, now that we are live on YouTube, you just can't just pawn anything. You had to actually try to look different sometimes. So it's just what I do. which is what I have to do all over again. Coming into radio and not being live on and anybody seeing it was easy to put on anything, you know what I mean? And easy
Or nothing at all.
well, or nothing at all, you know. But when you have to be seen now, you have to, you know, people have to say, hey, all right, that is our program. I can't wear the same thing every day. Easy to just show on the same t-shirt sometime in the morning. But I can't. And I won't. So I give all you a little football t-shirt this morning. Oh, it's raining in Arima. It's a drizzly day. It looks like it might be a drizzly day.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those off and on things.
UNFPA has indicated the data that they've assessed and the analysis indicated that girls under the age of 15, the number of girls under the age of 15 giving birth has increased since the COVID-19 pandemic.
But I think I also read somewhere the other day, there's been a lot of rapes also of girls under 15. I think that came
one this weekend in South Trinidad.
Yeah, the amount of reports of rapes of girls under 15 has increased.
Yeah. Well, the last data set I looked at indicated that at least 2 to 3 women are either assaulted or raped every day in Trinidad and Tobago.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy. It is extremely crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, yet they only give out like 48 pepper spray licenses, or approved, I should say.
Yeah.
Morning, Dr. Bassing.
Morning,
good morning, guys.
Morning, Rich.
Yeah, and morning to our listeners, wherever you are, listeners/viewers.
You know, I heard, let me get this off my chest too one time.
Get it off.
I heard one of the most ludicrous, and I think we are interviewing Dr. Amery Browne today.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard one of the most ludicrous comments coming from the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, SC MP, yesterday. Not yesterday, but she did it at her Monday night forum, I think, where she made a comment and called on the government to ensure that Venezuela does not use the profits or the money derived from the dragon gas deal to buy arms and ammunition to use against the Guyanese people.
It's not used for
to buy arms and ammunition. That the money from dragon gas is not used to buy arms and ammunition to use against the Guyanese people. Because you touch one, you touch all. So she went on with some other things. But I have never heard, as a matter of fact, I heard it before and then I saw it on TV6 last night. And TV6 put it as a poll. Do you think Trinidad and Tobago can control what Venezuela does with the dragon gas money or something of that sort?
No.
TV6 asked. And
I thought it, when I heard it went there, I thought it kind of silly and ridiculous too. I was like, what? How can you control what Venezuela does? Because under the Maduro regime, there's so many things that have been curtailed in Venezuela. Venezuela once had a very free press that no longer is so. So how are you monitoring? Who is the monitoring agency to evaluate what you are suggesting? There is none.
Yeah.
There is none.
But why would you even raise that as an issue? What in other words, you're dragging Trinidad and Tobago in this thing now because you're saying that Trinidad and Tobago has to ensure that Venezuela doesn't use the money from dragon gas to buy arms and ammunition. What madness is that?
Yeah, but my point is, how are you even practically enforcing something like that beyond the Venezuelans not accepting that as some part of any agreement? How are you evaluating something so very difficult to navigate and to say, well, yes, you used $1 million of the money to buy five guns from Russia. So when I heard it, I was like, but this makes no sense. beyond what you're suggesting, Wendell, that it brings Trinidad and Tobago into it, but it just makes no sense from a practical geopolitical position for Trinidad and Tobago.
None, absolutely no sense.
So I agree with you with that. I said, well, this makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, the Monday Night Forum.
There's several things that she's been saying in the last few weeks. One, of course, it started with the gambling and the marijuana. Then it became that gun thing. Then it's pornography, having a link to the amount of abuse of children.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is the data backing up all of this? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I said, but maybe Paul has the data. So Paul, because Paul is very data centric. So I said,
Very,
Paul has
very data driven.
Yeah, so I said, Paul probably has all of the data, so he can tell us.
So yeah,
Is it that she is hoping that Paul can back up her stories?
I don't know specifically, but Paul, being the data point person on the program, is the one to say, yes, she has some validity, or no, she doesn't.
Or no, she talking rubbish. Paul needs to say it.
Yeah, Paul, is over to you now.
Over to you.
Your turn, Paul. Go ahead.
And as a social scientist, I've been taught to only engage in credible sources.
You're saying that the opposition leader. You're saying that the opposition leader is discredited.
And also be very wary of any and all sources of information, and unless they're
you're not normally so. You're not normally so docile in these things. You're not normally so docile in these things. Don't tell me a little 6 degrees weather have you changed already.
But 6 degrees weather kind of shrinks testicular fortitude sometimes. It can have that effect of reducing testosterone levels. Huh?
Go and sit down by the fireplace now.
No. There's no need for a fireplace yet. There may be need for a fireplace on Thursday. However, there's no need today.
No, but
I have. Have you ever heard the saying that when something doesn't make sense, don't even bother to discuss it?
Yeah, but she is getting national coverage and possibly international.
But she would, of course, because she will get national coverage because she's the leader of the opposition.
Yeah,
I don't know that any country can tell any other country what to do with their revenues. Any other sovereign state, what to do with their revenues. You can say, if for example, if Mrs. Pasabi says that we're prime minister, and she had the opportunity through her government to have arrangements with Venezuela on drug and gas or any other thing that may generate revenues to both countries, she can say, if credible information comes that you have bought arms and ammunition against some sort of convention, Geneva Convention or UN Convention, against small arms treaties, etc., I will discontinue my arrangement with you. You can do that. You have remit over your country.
No prime minister can do that, Paul.
I said I will discontinue the arrangement with you, not the country. A prime minister can take an executive decision to discontinue any bilateral arrangement.
But wouldn't that be absolutely foolish?
There may be consequences. How many bilateral arrangements have we ended when governments change in this country?
But I'm just saying that I will anyway. I'll get.
I don't think you can enforce.
Opinion on it.
I think what Wendell is saying is you can't force it in saying, and I agree with you, Paul. You can't enforce it by saying, I know that you used $10 million of the profit that you got from the Dragon Field gas, and that $10 million went to buy a tank. You can't really enforce that. You don't know, because a country earns income from a variety of places.
Exactly.
So you can't decide, well, okay, that $10 million.
But that's why I said, if I had credible information that you are using X and Y to fund some sort of activity that's against international law or convention.
And I think you have to just get to the point that, I don't know if this was the point, that any acts of aggression from a military point of view is going to endanger the agreement.
I think a lot of these statements have been made because there's a perspective by some that if you make what is described as a populist statement that may seem to gain strength on the ground, for example, light them up. You understand? That because of the environment in Trinidad and Tobago got traction on the ground during the local government election, you can possibly continue to make what may be described as populist statements and hope they gain traction. I don't think those last two I heard Mrs. Persad-Bissessar say fall into that category. I think they light them up, although
Well,
it was to me a reckless statement in the context it was made. It got traction because people in the country were fed up of crime or are fed up of crime and fearing for their lives. I don't think you can make a statement about linking pornography with the abuse of children, because the data set Mrs. Persad-Bissessar quoted from was from, I think, the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services in a recent forum that showed that there was an increase in the abuse of children. So making linkages unless you have the data to make the correlations or the connections is, to me, just throwing things in the wall and hope they stick. You understand?
You being generous. First begin with, I don't think the light them up statement gained any traction in the places that she thought it would have, because it didn't bring her one extra district in the East-West corridor, not one. So it ain't work. Okay, it ain't work. That is one. Two, those other statements about gambling and pornography and marijuana, they are ridiculous to the extreme. It is almost like if, all right, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar, you don't need to do anything to get the UNC fanatics to vote for you. I want to tell you that. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to send a representative there. They don't care who you put up. They're going to vote for UNC regardless. Okay? What you need to do is to get the East-West corridor, okay, to swing the votes, get totally fed up at the PNM or wherever, and see you as the responsible person to lead this country forward. Okay? See you as a stateswoman to ensure that this country moves out of this morass.
But in relation to the statement she made, and because I didn't hear the statement, to be fair, but from what you all are saying, it is in line. It doesn't make sense. One, let me say that you all are right about that, because you can't tell a country what to do with the money.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, or the resources. And also the other thing is that it's like when the UNC, I think MP Padarath made a statement that Dr. Rowley should get involved in what you call it, in mediating the impasse between Guyana and Venezuela. Mm-hmm. One wonders, but CARICOM has a particular stance, and Trinidad and Tobago stated its what you call it, its position as backing CARICOM's position. Mm-hmm. You know, so I don't know why Trinidad and Tobago would get directly involved in mediating those two countries' issues.
But I think it was an
not only that, but you're operating on the assumption that the Dragon gas field and the monetization of it is as important to Venezuela as it is to Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
So you are assuming that you have the negotiating power, because anytime you're in a negotiating room, you have to know what your power is, what you bring to the table, and what your strengths are in terms of the power of your team to negotiate whatever you want out of an agreement.
Yeah. And
so there's a big assumption taking place there that Venezuela sees the Dragon gas field and the monetization with Trinidad and Tobago as valuable and important.
As a big thing.
As important as it is for Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. And which is why I feel it was an attempt to really derail that deal again. That is how I see it. It was another attempt, because they made attempts in the past. Another attempt to derail that.
I mean, I didn't see it in that light. I didn't look at it through that lens as if it was to derail the deal. I just looked at it as oppositional politics, opposition politics saying something, which is fine, it just didn't make sense to me, because I was like, well, how are you even evaluating if somebody has done this. So that's why it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the gambling and the what was the other one? Gambling and the marijuana.
Marijuana use.
It gained some level of traction because some people did agree that you should raise the age to 25.
Yeah.
So some people did agree with that position that crossed party lines. I didn't. I mean, I personally didn't, but in the sense that I just felt there should be a realignment of whatever that age of majority is. So if you're saying that you want to take it to 21, then make that the age of majority. I didn't believe in having a duality.
Right.
But
so as I was saying earlier on, the opposition leader, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, you don't need to do anything to get your seats, your votes. You're going to get them anyway. You have to focus on getting the country to see you as credible and to see you as able to fix these problems. How are you fixing it when you're making these ludicrous?
I think she's obviously trying to differentiate a position, whether you agree with it or not, of the UNC, because when she speaks on behalf of the UNC.
Yes.
And so she's obviously giving a position of the UNC that she believes is different to that of the current administration.
But I'm asking a question. Did the UNC make some statements in the past seeming to back Juan Guaido or something like that?
Yes, they recognize Juan Guaido.
Exactly. So it's consistent with not supporting Maduro for quite some time now. And I guess anything that Maduro is engaged in, the UNC is going to have an opposing position to him.
Well, which brings us to the larger question of how really important is this dragon field to Trinidad and Tobago's economic future, because you are, for all intents and purposes, a government in waiting.
Yes.
And if you were to take the corridors of power and you are now in that leadership position, how does what you have said come
affect
back
that
to
deal?
phone? Yeah, to affect it.
That's a very good
question.
Well,
more than that, affect relations with Venezuela on the whole.
Yes, that's a very good point. That's a very good point, because let's just say you are on the cusp of signing it and governments change. Okay, what do you do? And you know that very well that this deal will bring benefits to Trinidad and Tobago. What do you do?
Well, the position may be that they don't think that is the only route to get additional gas. The UNC, that is. You understand? The Dr. Rowley's administration certainly has been championing this dragon deal against the odds, I might add. You understand? Seemingly against the odds. And there are many people who, including Dr. Hussein yesterday, we spoke to Kevin and Ryan a couple of weeks ago, who have indicated that there are other areas we could be focusing on in terms of getting gas.
Okay.
Yeah, so the UNC may feel that is not the only way to get the additional gas, given our abysmal gas production that was in Trinidad. You understand? So it's a policy position in terms of difference in the two parties.
Yeah.
So never a dull moment. Anyway, that's Venezuela thing. Well, speaking of Venezuela and Guyana, apparently yesterday, Nicolas Maduro went to Facebook and published a statement saying that he has
a map,
a new map,
yes,
including Guyana, Essequiba, which he says he wants in all schools, municipal councils, public establishments, universities, and all homes in the country. A new map of Venezuela. He said this is our believed map. In response, the Guyana's president, Dr. Irfan Ali, addressed the Guyanese people via television at 11 last night, saying his administration will resolutely protect the country's territorial integrity and sovereignty. He said the move by the president of Venezuela is, quote, dangerous and a desperate act of President Maduro and flies in the face of international law and constitutes a grave threat to international peace and security. So Maduro, as predicted, Maduro ain't taking nobody and no court.
Nope. No.
He mightn't put no soldiers on the ground because, you know, that would have a different kind of response from not only Guyana, but its allies, including the US.
America, yes.
So a lot of it, as you see, is public relations, marketing, because this is about politics for Maduro. This is about the election coming up.
Yeah.
And showing his people that he is a strong leader who is going to get back that land, quote unquote, for them. It was taken 100 years ago, and think about it, you know?
Well, he's consistent with the former leader of Venezuela. But they've all promised to get back that land.
Yeah, but nobody has made this kind of a vote move.
Well, first time there's a referendum on it.
Yeah. So, and you have to ask yourself, why now?
Yeah.
What's at stake now that's important now?
Yeah.
A president who's waning in popularity.
You
understand? So, as they say, all politics is local, you know. So and that's another bold move, because I mean, if the international the court said everybody should stay their hand, let diplomacy rule, and he now publish a new map, including two-thirds of Guyana, and saying it is now considered Guyanese territory. I mean, sorry, Venezuelan territory. And he wanted it in schools and homes and everything. What do you think? What do you think that's saying? It's saying that I have claimed it, but I want to see you put troops on the ground if you claim it, because that will be the definitive move, eh? That's when it will turn into something else. Very interesting. And as I said before, all of us right here next door watching over. Never a dull moment. There's a story in the newspaper, one of the newspapers today, about a child, a boy, a 5-year-old boy.
I'm just looking at that.
By Amery Rodriguez. And a Londonville mother made a report to police after her son was allegedly bullied and force-fed a pack of biscuits dipped in a toilet at the Edinburgh Primary School last week.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that story, actually.
Now,
she said the child was alleged, she alleged the child was made to eat snacks off the floor by the group and later forced to eat contaminated biscuits. The older children had dipped the biscuits in a toilet bowl and a drain and then brought them to her son. They were in the auditorium and the boy came across and told him to pick up some Skittles off the ground and eat them. They went in someone's bag, got a bag of Shirley biscuits, dipped it in the toilet and in the drain and forced him to eat 2 biscuits. They made him eat it and then they went to tell the teachers. Her son developed gastroenteritis in the days following the incident and experienced vomiting, asthma, and had difficulty breathing. The first-year pupil also had frequent asthma attacks and had to be treated at the Eric Williams Medical Complex. He got sick on Wednesday evening. He was gasping for breath and vomiting with diarrhea. I took him to the health center and they said that he had contracted gastro. I gave him some coconut water. On Friday, I took him to Mount Hope Hospital and he was breathing short and they kept him and they resolved the breathing. The mother of 4 told the newspaper that her other 2 children attending the school had also been bullied before.
That is a really sad story.
It's a group of bullies in the school?
It seems so.
It seems so.
And how old are these children?
Well, the boy is 5, so maybe around 5 or a little older.
She said she was disappointed in the way the school's administration handled the matter. Following the incident, she said she had not been contacted by staff, but was told about the force feeding by her eldest daughter, who also attends the school. In addition, she said parents of the alleged bullies had not been told by the school of what had been done to her child until she insisted on a meeting.
That's crazy. Because those
And
children
the school should have reported that to the parent because the child had been traumatized and possibly physically negatively affected in terms of his health.
Well, he
Because
was.
if he's fed something off the ground in the toilet and had these adverse physical reactions, that's a very serious thing.
Mm.
I mean, at that age too. Anyway, not
That's
surprising.
crazy. And
But you
it's
see, the
crazy
school
that
is not, and this has been something that's been decades long. I don't think the schools are dealing with the bullying issue as assertively as they should, because you hear reports all the time from parents about children not wanting to go to school because they are victims of bullying for years.
Mm.
Now, what they used to call it fun and games, now it's not. Because why? Think about that 5 year old. He doesn't want to go back in that school.
of course not. And as a
He wouldn't
parent, do you
go
want to
school.
send him back?
And as a parent, I wouldn't want to send them back there either. Because
Exactly.
what has the school done to discipline those or to run an investigation into what happened? And the ones who have done the bullying also need counseling also. Excuse me. Anyway, never a dull moment. It's quite
That's crazy. That's a crazy story.
unfortunate. We were talking about this a couple of days ago. The World Health Organization says that too few states were using tax to incentivize healthier habits and choices, and the countries need to increase their taxes on alcohol and sugar-sweetened beverages.
The
WHO studied
they have
taxation
certainly done it
rates,
for alcohol.
but they're inelastic and elastic commodities. Alcohol and cigarettes, you could raise those taxes and they will still buy them. The WHO said the average global tax rate on unhealthy products, as they describe them, alcohol and cigarettes and sugar-sweetened beverages, was relatively low. And they say that hiking taxes could result in healthier populations. I ain't that jury out on that.
So when Trinidad and Tobago signs a new gas deal with Atlantic LNG, which is based, where's Atlantic LNG based? Is it Europe or United States?
But
But
it's BP and Shell. Not so.
Is Europe, right? Britain, right? London, right? So do we get to tell Rishi Sunak what to do with that money? Don't buy any arms and ammunition?
Well, I think the difference is that
Rishi Sunak not in war with anybody.
no, that BP is a private company
Okay.
and Shell is a private company. So the British government doesn't have any you're not negotiating directly with the British government. I
So
suppose
God
that's the
forbid Shell or BP donate any money to any cause or anybody where a gun may have been bought.
yeah.
That's the end of that deal.
Corporate culture, I guess, is what would come into play there. What's your corporate culture?
Don't play ringing up your eye at me there, you know.
I don't know why you're engaging in this
No, because
that statement that don't make no sense. The statement don't make no sense.
But the statement that was on national news, you know. It was on, and as a matter of fact, I'll save it for when Dr. Amery Browne comes on here. I'll get his opinion on. We'll get his opinion on it. You know, he's very diplomatic with his language, right?
Sometimes not.
I've never heard him use undiplomatic language, you know. And I've met him in other forums.
He's a diplomat, you know, probably the country's highest diplomat.
You know, one of the first people I campaigned with, as a matter of fact, he campaigned with, when he went up for Diego Martin Central in 2007. I took him to Cocorito, you know, and he was greeted. If you see all them people hug him and kiss him up, them old ladies on it, they say, Wendell, where you get this little cute boy from? I said, there's all your new MP. No, because he's a small frame person, and we talking 10, 15 years ago? 2007? No, what am I saying? Yeah, 15 years ago.
Does anyone have newspapers?
Yeah, I do.
Would you care to go ahead?
Sure, of course I can. So I'll start with the Daily Express for today, and of course it is Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. Let me start with the headline for the Daily Express. The main headline: more LNG dollars for TNT. Government, BP, Shell sign new revenue deal for Atlantic. That's the main story, and it's a main picture. The main picture is the Minister of Energy and the Prime Minister posing with, is it a plaque? Are they posing with a commemoration plaque in honor of the signing of an agreement for a new utilized commercial structure for Atlantic LNG. Of course, this was signed in London. So that's the main headline. On the Daily Express, actually, there are no sub-headlines. That's it. And on the back page of the Daily Express, all over, women warriors go under 1-0 to Mexico, fail to qualify for 2024 World, well, they have is it World Gold Cup?
Women's Gold Cup, maybe.
Maybe it's Women's Gold Cup. They just have W. Anyway, so it's all over. That's the headline. And inside, Sinclair shines with 5-4. And that's it for the Daily Express this morning. Just has one major headline on the front, one major headline on the back.
Steve, was I supposed to send the link to Dr. Browne? Minister Browne, sorry. Okay.
The Newsday today. Front page, mother of murdered 19-year-old missing boy. Mother of murdered 19-year-old missing boy. This headline is funny. Help me bury my son. Mother of murdered 19-year-old missing boy, 16.
Or she is missing her son. Or it's two stories in one day.
Mother of murdered 19-year-old missing son. Please help me bury my son. In other words, she's missing her son and she wants her
Well,
buried.
the headline says, I'm just reading the headline as it's worded here. Mother of murdered 19-year-old missing boy, 16. Help me bury my son.
Oh, so it's two boys we're talking about.
I guess that's how they phrased it. So it's a little clumsily phrased. At least in understanding clearly what the Newsday is trying to get across. TT businesses eyeing Essequibo dispute. And on the back page of the Newsday, Hope eyes consistency in second ODI versus England. Windies want to be elite. And St. Benedict's beat Fatima 2-1 in SSFL under 20 final. So that's it for the Newsday. Moving on to the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. And on the front page, what did they go with? TNT signs new gas deal. NGC inks Atlantic LNG contract. Bigger revenue potential in 10% stake. PM pleased with historic arrangement. And there is a picture of much signing taking place. Man held in licensing arson attack probe. Point highway stretch gets safety upgrades. All of that is on the front page of the TNT Guardian. And on the back page, fighting TNT go under 1-0. And 1-0 is a pretty good fight against Mexico. Because I assume Mexico is always a formidable team when it comes to football.
We had to beat them by 4 goals, I think, to qualify. So that was never going to happen.
Yeah. All right. That's your headlines there, Rich?
Yep, that's it.
All right. Let's say good morning. Going now to CPT Singh, Maria Celia Mo Games. Good morning. CJ New York, Richard M. Jeremiah, DC. Good morning. Carol Joseph, Ingrid Adams, Slick Money Grip, Cheryl Seeley, Romantic Passionate Lover, Terrence Brown, Boy Bedesi, Spirit Asha, Rena Jennings, Alana Simmons, Kyle Cupid, Terrence Brown, Alana Simmons, let's see, Ian R. Joseph, Right. I all sent us a message via our YouTube. Somebody says, "Good morning." Just came in, yeah, from Jaron Joseph. All right, let's get a result of our morning poll. Yesterday we asked you, do you agree that TNT should be moving towards a totally cashless society? That was our poll yesterday. The results are in. 80%, 80, said no. All right, let's get into this morning's poll, gentlemen.
What are we polling this morning, guys?
Do you want to do the WHO suggestion of increasing taxes in what are usually described as sin taxes, cigarettes, alcohol, and sweetened drinks?
Okay,
To
I
promote
don't know this
healthier
story. I don't know
lifestyles.
this story, though. I don't know this story, so you guys can decide. I'll just write.
I mean, you could go with that, I guess.
All right.
I mean, I didn't know it either. I didn't read that.
I don't know your story as well.
But I know we have taxes on alcohol and cigarettes here already.
But they said they should increase them.
WHO suggesting that?
Well, they're saying most countries do. I don't know that we are one of them.
They said that the taxes are relatively low when they did a global scan.
Well, I don't know that Trinidad is one of those countries that it's low. That's my point.
Well, I think what Paul's saying is that it is. They've identified us as one of the countries with low taxes.
No.
Globally.
Oh.
They didn't identify Trinidad and Tobago particularly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying I don't know that we are possibly one of them because it's obviously a mechanism.
That doesn't mean we can't increase taxes.
That we've had taxes. Why would we want to increase more taxes?
On sin products.
Anytime you say taxes,
how we decided that that is sin?
Anytime you say taxes, my default position is resist. From the time you say tax, I move into
Richard, he and the WHO starting the song like the opposition leader. Who decided that is a sin? Let them a sin.
No, they're talking about health. They're talking about health.
No, he says sin taxes. He now use that word.
All right,
there.
gentlemen, we are running out of time. We need to get into our poll.
He say you're committing a sin when you smoke and you drink.
Put up the poll, please, Paul. Obviously, it's going to generate some commentary.
Just so he decides smoking, drinking, and gambling is a sin. Just so. What the jail I hearing?
Oh, God.
Typing writing should be a sin.
All right, so our morning poll 222-8255. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099 on WhatsApp at 3181021. Also send us a message via YouTube and Facebook, and we love to know where you're sending your messages and where you're calling from. So let us know as well. All right, our morning poll.
Look, why you threw me off so much I couldn't even spell cigarette.
1 hour and 2 T's.
I assume the poll is, do you agree with the WHO?
1 hour and 2 T's.
Do you agree with the WHO that there should be increases on taxes for alcohol, sweetened drinks, and cigarettes? That's our poll this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yes or no?
And of course, we keeping it.
Sin taxes, should they be increased?
So 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, you can weigh in toll free at 866-525-1099. You can also send in your votes via the comment section on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and also send your votes via WhatsApp at 868-318-1021. That's 318-1021. All right, so you have all of the ways in which you can vote on this poll this morning. So do you agree with the WHO that there should be increases on taxes for alcohol, sweetened drinks, and cigarettes to promote health?
And boy, Ibidesi has kicked off the voting with a resounding no. Ishan Malik says yes, and Gregory Boyer says yes.
Yeah.
Let's go, guys.
Jaron says no as well. All right. Do you agree with the WHO that there should be increases on taxes for alcohol, sweetened drinks, and cigarettes so as to promote health? Yes or no?
So-called sin taxes.
Plenty sinners in this place, I can tell you that.
That is the euphemism that's used in economics, sin taxes.
Yeah, I've heard it before.
Which means that increase taxes and double palm too.
Well, boy, they need to fix the AC about when you run across the road, the window always open. It's right across the road from me.
Somebody agree with you, Paul.
I got a little confused there.
DL says raise the prices for that sinful place called Double Palm. No to the poll. Thank you so much. Miss Bonnie West says yes.
You see, I was just put God bless our nation. They started the song, right?
What ridiculous, yes? I ain't getting no play. I ain't getting no airplay.
Honey San Fernando says no to the poll.
You have Slick Money Grip saying yes, Marcia Rock saying yes, Wayne Joseph saying yes.
So the poll, do you agree with the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, that there should be increases on taxes for alcohol, sweetened drinks, and cigarettes to promote health? Of course, in a Trinidad context, we say sweet drink and cigarette and alcohol.
Sea drink. Danrod says no. Lester Craigwell, no to the poll. Wayne Joseph, yes, out in Ontario, cold Canada. Marcia Rock, yes. Well, we did Slick Money Grip. Wayne B says no. Rena Boodoo Jennings, yes. Do you think, or do you agree with the WHO that there should be increases on taxes for alcohol, sweetened drinks, and cigarettes to promote health? It's called a sin tax.
You know,
yes,
if
no.
Mrs. Passad Bissessa had come up with this kind of comment, I would agree with her. I would say that's a sensible comment for a woman who wants to lead the country again to make. You understand? Put that out there. But no. You go along the road.
So you have taken the poll and how somehow we handed it back to Canada.
Let's focus on the gentleman. Alana Sidham says, Alana, that is not a yes or no, okay?
Oh,
well,
okay.
that is a poll we did already. But that is also a poll we did already.
Morning call.
Guys. DJ Ray, yeah.
DJ Ray, thank you so much.
What you said?
DJ Ray, all that to you.
Not she, he.
Okay.
He. Oh, I didn't. It was sounded very garbled to me.
DJ Ray. That was DJ Ray.
And they said what?
He said yes.
Okay. It was very garbled. I couldn't hear. Don't know if it was
yes. Morgan says yes.
So 222 talk 222-8255 North Americans 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, well, you know what to do. And of course, people on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, you can send your comment section. In the comment section, you can send your votes. And of course, people who want to send it via WhatsApp can do it at 318-1021. Of course, you need to probably include the 868.
See, I'm seeing a CNC3 post that's saying experts support Kamala's call for talks on pornography epidemic. That could be a question. Do you think we have a pornography epidemic in Trinidad and Tobago?
But we know we do. And we the country with the second highest viewership of porn sites?
I have no clue.
I think that came out already as data. Data man.
I have no clue. I wasn't a
we've traditionally come up high on pornography searches, yes.
Yeah, I think we were
I've never been into porn, so
all right.
And there's another sin.
Yeah. I'm not jumping up in that data.
Lying is a sin too, eh? I hope you know that, eh? Drink your water. I'm not sure about.
And mind the business.
Light snow expected in New York this afternoon.
What's that?
Light snow expected.
See more votes coming in there in the comment section.
You all sure you want me to give you votes? You want to have a little convo again?
They have no more votes came in.
Oh, okay. Just double checking.
Oh, this one always running up New York, so now all here. I'll check on that.
Something is up.
Well, we had to go and find out. And with that, he takes off his camera.
You know, when you're in Portugal regularly, but nobody asks the questions. All right.
I might very well end up there for this Christmas.
All right. Long Islander says yes. Lorna, morning, Lorna. Indian Kali, yes. And
Got it.
Ron says yes to the poll.
All right.
Thank you so much. All right, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. AV is in. Hear that, Paul? AV is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Hey, news headlines. The National Gas Company now has a 10% stake in a landmark agreement for a new commercial structure for Atlantic LNG. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro declares a new map of Venezuela incorporating the Essequibo region of Guyana. An economist voices concern about Trinidad and Tobago's performance in the tourism sector, and Gaza civilians desperate as ground fighting continues. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. A landmark agreement for a new commercial structure for Atlantic LNG, which was signed in London yesterday, now means that the National Gas Company now has a 10% stake in the company. 1 year ago, the government signed new agreements with regard to the restructuring Atlantic LNG with BPTT, Shell, and the NGC, which changed the commercial structure of TNT's liquefied natural gas entity, Atlantic LNG, for the first time in 27 years. Yesterday's signing culminates 5 years of negotiations between the parties and opens the door for greater revenue to be derived by the state from the Atlantic LNG trains. For the government and country, it means an increase in potential revenue. As Energy Minister Stuart Young had said, government stands to benefit financially from the restructuring. For the NGC, who remits taxes and dividends to the state, it means a greater stake in LNG business. Quantifying the potential revenue, however, will depend on the global demand for LNG and TNT's ability to keep supplying the 3 trains with natural gas. In what can only be described as an act of aggression by Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro on Tuesday night, he declared a new map of Venezuela incorporating the Essequibo region of Guyana. This occurred after the nation's Sunday referendum, in which his government declared the annexation of Essequibo as a part of Venezuela a success. In a Facebook post that was translated into English, Maduro declared, quote, "I have ordered to immediately publish and take all schools, lyceums, municipal councils, public establishments, universities, and in all homes of the country, the new map of Venezuela with our Guyana Essequibo. This is our believed map," end quote. Following Maduro's social media proclamation, Guyana's President Dr. Irfan Ali addressed the Guyanese people via national television at approximately 11 p.m., assuring them that he and his administration will resolutely protect the country's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Dr. Ali said, quote, "The measures announced are in blatant disregard of the order given by the International Court of Justice on December 1st, 2023. Guyana views this as an imminent threat to its territorial integrity and will intensify precautionary measures to safeguard its territory," end quote. All indicated, or rather Ali indicated, that he had spoken on Tuesday night to the Secretary General of the United Nations and several leaders, alerting them of these dangerous developments and the desperate actions of President Maduro that fly in the face of international law and constitute a grave threat to international peace and security. University of the West Indies economist Professor Roger Hossain says this country is significantly underperforming in attracting more tourists to TNT. He said while Jamaica and Barbados have returned to pre-pandemic levels of tourism arrivals, contributing much-needed forex into their local system, we have not. Professor Hossain also said the crime situation in TNT is an issue that needs to be effectively addressed to encourage an improvement in tourism arrivals. He also said that while there have been significant gains in the manufacturing sector, the types of businesses are not necessarily net forex earners for TNT.
So let me backtrack a little here. The fundamental problem in Trinidad and Tobago is that we have a situation where growth has returned, but it is not foreign exchange enhancing as we would like. Even more, the foreign exchange generating good, natural gas, we all know, is declining. So the fundamental question to me is how can we get economic growth with foreign exchange generation, or that with net foreign exchange gains to the economy?
Professor Hossain also indicated that our agricultural sector needs a strong leader to increase local production and consumption, and our food import bill continues to rise and is now estimated to be approximately 8 billion TT dollars.
National treatment.
It is not yet. It is not yet a. It cannot be yet described as a deity. Both, for example, the Catholic, the Orisha, and some deities.
Highlanders manager Robert Hernandez says the newly constructed Highlanders Pan Theatre and Learning Center is envisioned as a safe space for the youth of Laventille and Eastport of Spain, where they don't have to worry about borderlines and negative influences. $4.5 million was spent on the facility. The company has upgraded 7 panyards to date: Desperados, The Untouchables, Pan Groove, Blue Diamonds, Harlem Syncopatas, Laventille Serenaders, TNT Music Stars, and Highlanders. The upgraded panyard contains classrooms, conference facilities, public practice areas and rehearsal spaces, storage rooms, and other amenities inclusive of Wi-Fi connectivity. Eastport of Spain Development Company Limited recently officially handed over the facility. EPO's managing director, Dr. Deborah Thomas Austin, encouraged the band to make the best use of the facility, which she said was not just a steel band theater, but a community hub to host learning initiatives. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is seeking the urgent assistance of the public in locating 24-year-old Crystal Ragbear. Crystal Ragbear of 6th Company Indian Walk was last seen on November 26, 2023, and was reported missing to the Princestown Police Station on December 4th. She is of mixed descent, approximately 5 feet 7 inches in height, with a medium build, dark brown in complexion with a short hairstyle. She was last seen wearing a brown thin strap top, a pair of black jeans, and a pair of multicolored slippers. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Crystal Ragbear is asked to call the Princestown Police Station at 655-2231 or 800-TIPS, or contact the police at 555-999-911 or any police station. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, heavy fighting is taking place across Gaza, with house-to-house fighting reported as Israeli forces intensify their ground operation. Tanks are closing in on 3 areas: Khan Yunis in the south, and Jabalia and Sujaiya in the north, where hundreds of thousands of civilians remain. The UN says 600,000 people are under evacuation orders in southern Gaza, but there is nowhere to go because shelters are so full. On Tuesday, Israel said its troops had reached the heart of Khan Yunis, the largest southern city, on the most intense day of fighting in its ground operation. Israel believes Hamas leaders could be hiding in the city, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insists the war can only be won crushing force. Finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy to cloudy with occasional showers and the low to medium chance of isolated thunderstorm activity. These conditions will linger into the night but gradually settle by midnight. Gusty winds and street flooding are likely in the event of heavy downpours. Small craft operators, sea bathers, and all other marine interests are being asked to exercise caution. You can expect a temperature high today of 1 degree Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 25 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 27 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines at 7 o'clock. The National Gas Company now has a 10% stake in a landmark agreement for a new commercial structure for Atlantic LNG. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro declares a new map of Venezuela incorporating the Essequibo region of Guyana. Economist voices concerned about Trinidad and Tobago's performance in the tourism sector, and Gaza civilians desperate as ground fighting continues. I'm Avril Sindelbath. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. There is more news coming up in full at 12 noon and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right, thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You join her again come 8 o'clock for our news break. Quickly, let's see what's happening traffic-wise. Let's start out in San Fernando. I got nothing really to tell you about. Nope, I got nothing. Just Golaconda Connector Road from the Solo towards South Trunk Road. That's a heavy spot this morning. Apart from that, that's it. Your traffic again starting from Taruba. There is a little accident southbound just by Harmony Hall, and it's creating some traffic as you head south and north. Of course, another accident, Riverhead Road. You're a bit busy this morning, and your traffic is starting just after Coover towards Sugargonas. Of course, there's that accident. I don't know where is it, if it's north or south, but it's by Charlieville. If you're southbound, just after Monroe Road. So if you're northbound, before Monroe Road. A little volume at Chin Chin Road on the southern main road. Trinidad City to Uwe. And then, of course, Macoya, usual spots through Curep and St. Joseph and Champlain. Got some traffic there on the eastern main road. But after Uwe, it's pretty much clear sailing until you get to the interchange. You step on your gas, step on your brake a little bit. And then from Barra Tarria into Port of Spain, you've got traffic. Out of Dago, you got some. On a Maraval, you're not too bad at all. A little traffic as you come down towards the roundabout. All right, so that's a quick traffic update for you. Let's see if we have any more votes. Let's see, what was the last vote that we did? All right, nothing there. And see if we have any more. Okay, nothing there.
We got two more actually. We got Cheryl Charles.
Saying yes.
And we got God
saying no.
Mm-hmm. And Rena said yes, the area that watched the most porn was south. I don't know if it's South Trinidad or Port of Spain South or South Urupuch. I don't know. But maybe it's South Trinidad. Anyway, the results of our poll, we asked this morning, do you agree with the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, that there should be increases on taxes for alcohol, sweetened drinks, and cigarettes to promote good health? And we had 20 people weighing in on that poll. 13 said yes, they agree. 7 said no.
All right.
13 said yes, 7 said no. Thank you, Rena.
All right.
And we have, is it now we're getting our guest?
Yes.
Okay. but it's not coming video, right?
Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, throughout programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday.
Just letting people know too, our program starts at 6 a.m. Generally, we are on air, that's the host, by 6:08. The actual Steve will do his greetings, they will do the news,
Well, the
Steve will do his greetings.
show starts at 6.
Right, but the show starts at 6. But generally, we are talking as a group at around 6:08 or thereabouts. Just thought that it, because a lot of people bring up stuff in the chat that we speak about and that we have spoken about. So maybe they're not aware that we start that early. You know?
All right. Dr. Browne, are you there? Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I hope you're hearing me clearly. And yes, I am.
We are indeed. Wendell is upset that your camera can't come on. He's upset since yesterday when I told him. But anyway, good morning to you, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. Good. How are you?
Good morning. I'm excellent. Thank you. And good to be back on your program.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I reminded them of the first time you campaigned, and I campaigned with you in the Cookreed area in particular, where you were hugged and kissed by so many people who asked me, where you get this cute young man from? So I was reminding them of that now. So why you, and I say, but the man's still cute. Why he can't show his picture? But anyway, you probably have your reasons.
Well, if that is the problem, Wendell, I was told that can be utilized in your interface. But no, I'm not able to deploy my camera at this time.
No problem.
You see, everybody will say, I can't put on my camera.
Even with that,
the minister said I would not be able to deploy my camera. I like that. I like that. All right. Paul will put up your pic shortly. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. Let's get into it, gentlemen.
But let me first jump off Dr. Browne in that this morning we had a very intense discussion on the latest statement of the opposition leader, Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Hello? Yeah, concerning her comments on the drug and gas deal, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. In that she said that she hopes that Trinidad and Tobago ensures that the Maduro government does not use the profits of the drug and gas deal to buy arms and ammunition to use against the Guyanese people. Has the government replied, or does the government intend to reply to a comment like that?
No, the government does not respond to every comment that might be designed to be divisive and simply to negatively affect the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. As you would be aware, these negotiations and discussions with Guyana have been taking place for a number of years now and have been the benefit of strategic input, strong negotiation on the part of Trinidad and Tobago, and have come to a point of culmination and satisfaction on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. The opposition clearly is not pleased by that and has been adopting a range of positions. Some might even deem some of these positions a bit schizophrenic, where they are simply throwing pebbles into the puddle and seeking to disrupt or regional relations and the economic interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. On one hand, they said very early in October that Trinidad and Tobago must come out clearly in support of Guyana. Trinidad and Tobago has certainly adopted a position consistent with CARICOM and principle and international law, which is very much aligned with Guyana's view that this border dispute is properly before the International Court of Justice, which is the UN legal structure designed to determine, adjudicate, and judge on disputes and matters between sovereign states. Now the UNC, via their leader and other MPs, are saying, well, no, Trinidad and Tobago should not take sides, but should be a mediator in this dispute, lead to direct negotiations between Guyana and Venezuela. That's a very different position. And what that does is that it falls in direct contravention to Guyana's foreign policy on this matter, because Guyana's position is that this issue is not subject to bilateral negotiation because it is properly before the formal legal body designed to adjudicate and judge on these types of controversy. So again, it's a schizophrenia from the opposition that can be rationalized only if one adopts the view that the UNC is simply trying to be divisive, as they've been in the past. Let me remind you, friends, that it was this opposition that, again, on an adventure into foreign affairs where they have very little expertise or wisdom to offer, they were of the public opinion that Trinidad and Tobago must support a president of Venezuela who is not the president of Venezuela, who no longer exists as a political entity in the Venezuelan public affairs. This was Juan Guaido, and were agitating publicly in that direction. So this is an opposition that we will not respond to. The position of Trinidad and Tobago, as is the position of CARICOM, is founded on principle, on respect for international law, and on a focus that the Caribbean Sea must be maintained as a zone of peace. There have been developments of recent vintage that cause us all concern in this regard. But again, we are not going on any adventure that would lead to tension or a separation between our position and that of the sovereign member state of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana in this matter. So we continue to work closely together. CARICOM, I could tell you first here, is in the process of convening an emergency meeting of heads via video conference, where these latest developments will again be discussed. The CARICOM position will be refreshed and advanced, and the common interest of the people of our regional family will be properly protected, advanced, and elaborated. That's the current position at this time, certainly not guided by the various divisive inputs and intrusions of the opposition of Trinidad and Tobago. And I must tell you, their forays into this matter distinguishes them in a very negative light from the opposition parties in various other CARICOM member states. Nowhere else have there been these attempts to divide, to separate, to play games between Venezuela and Guyana, to switch back and forth. We haven't seen that anywhere else, but this is TNT, and we're a vibrant political domain. So I guess that is maybe par for the course for us.
Yeah, well.
Minister, has CARICOM, I know Venezuela did respond, or at least there was some sort of response from Venezuela to CARICOM's position, basically saying that, I'm paraphrasing, but basically saying that CARICOM needs to be more objective on the issue, etc. After CARICOM made its first position known. Has there been any response officially from CARICOM to Venezuela's response?
Well, no, you see, this is not going to be a case of back and forth and exchanges of communiques. CARICOM has made its position crystal clear on this matter. Venezuela is not in agreement with the position of CARICOM, and they are fully in their rights to agree or disagree with CARICOM's position, but our position is our regional position, and as I said, will be further refreshed as additional developments have occurred in Venezuela since CARICOM has last spoke on this matter, and that's why heads are being convened this week to treat with the matter. So, no, CARICOM has not responded to Venezuela's response to CARICOM's position. But I want to remind you that CARICOM did not just speak on its own, but in reinforcement on the last occasion of the ICJ's ruling on this matter. There was the ICJ gave a decision in response to Ghana's approach for provisional measures in the on the eve of this December 3rd referendum in Venezuela. And it was the ICJ that said that pending the final settlement or judgment in this matter, neither side should take any action that would negatively affect the current status quo or which would modify the situation which currently prevails in the territory that is in dispute, whereby the Cooperative Republic of Guyana administers and exercises control over that area. Now it is the position of Guyana that the most recent developments at the National Assembly and related developments in Caracas have affected that particular position, whereby the Cooperative Republic of Ghana administers and exercises control over Essequibo. And Ghana will be making representations to CARICOM in such regard. And it is my prediction that there will be a further public response from our community in the near future.
Good morning, Dr. Browne. The latest development is that's been reported this morning is that Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, on Tuesday night declared a new map of Venezuela incorporating the Essequibo region, and has indicated it, and I'm quoting from his Facebook page that has been translated, "I have ordered to immediately publish and take all schools, municipal councils, public establishments, universities, and in all homes, the country, the new map of Venezuela with our Guyana Essequibo. This is our belief map." Dr. Irfan Ali, the president of Guyana, has responded by saying, and I'm paraphrasing him, or I'm editing here as I read, "The measures announced are blatant disregard of the order given by the ICJ on December 1st. Guyana views this as an imminent threat to its territorial integrity and will intensify precautionary measures to safeguard its territory." He also said, alerting the Secretary General of the UN that these dangerous developments and the desperate actions of Nicolas Maduro fly in the face of international law and constitute a grave threat to international peace and security. Dr. Browne, when the words international peace and security are included in the conversation now, given this latest development, would you say that this is an escalation of the events in the last 24 hours?
Yes, I would agree that this is an escalation. Of course, the Guyana's stated view, in accordance with the president of their republic, is that the actions taken in Venezuela are in conflict with the provisional measures ordered by the ICJ. And Guyana has indicated that they have approached the ICJ and will formalize that approach with such a submission that the Republic of Venezuela has violated the orders of the court. And that will be, we anticipate, swiftly processed and responded to at that level, which is at the international legal level. With respect to CARICOM's position on this matter, as I said, Guyana will be given a forum whereby it will be participating in an emergency session of CARICOM's heads, and a further position will be publicly elaborated subsequent to that. But your question is well asked. Does this represent an escalation? Well, it appears to, and it certainly does not contribute to what we've been calling for, which is a cooling of the situation, for wiser heads to prevail, and for this matter to be properly determined where to see, which is the International Court of Justice. Venezuela is of a different view in this particular matter.
Without preempting the CARICOM's meeting later on this week, as you described earlier on, Trinidad and Tobago's stated position is backing CARICOM's perspective on this. But we have a different sort of nexus where geopolitically and geographically, we're closest to both countries in many ways. And we have interests in both countries. Would it be fair to say that Trinidad and Tobago is taking a neutral position? And does this latest escalation, if we want to call it that, have any impact on our ongoing negotiations with Venezuela and the Dragon deal?
Well, those were several questions. What I would say, no, I would not characterize Trinidad and Tobago's position on this matter as a neutral one. We are a founding member, as is Guyana, of a regional community called CARICOM. And our position, as always, is based on principle indicates that CARICOM and Trinidad and Tobago will always stand in defense of the UN Charter, in support of the integrity and sovereignty of all member states, and that must include the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. These types of disputes, this is not unique in that there's a border controversy. There are others affecting CARICOM member states and other nations around the world. Cannot be resolved by agitation, by bullying, by pressure or threat or perceived threat of military force. They must be resolved by proper legal means. And so the formula here will be applicable and will set precedent for the future as well. So Trinidad and Tobago's position is in support of Guyana's view that this matter is properly before the ICJ, and therefore all states must refrain from provocation or negative actions pending a final determination of the matter. That determination is not preset. I certainly do not know what the ICJ's final judgment will be on this matter. But what the court has said is that states should hold their hand, not take any action to modify the current situation, and await a final judgment. And so that is Trinidad and Tobago's position. I would not describe that as neutral in the circumstances, but I would certainly describe it as principled, consistent with the Caribbean community, and consistent with
But you just mentioned the legal solution because it's before the court, but Venezuela has stated, or this is the impression I get anyway, that it does not intend to recognize the court, the ICJ, as having legal remit over this. And so whatever the ICJ says, Venezuela may well ignore that. And Trinidad and Tobago has stated its position to uphold local, domestic, and international law. What position does that put us in then moving forward?
Well, we will see what the Venezuelan response is up to Venezuela. This is a sovereign nation which will make its own determinations in this matter. But determinations and positions have consequences. And again, if you are before a legal body, you take actions in with its final judgment, then there are consequences that arise from that. I'm not in a position to hypothesize or speculate into the future, but we, Trinidad and Tobago and CARICOM, are of the position that this matter is properly rested at the ICJ. And in fact, the court itself has made initial determinations based on Venezuela's submission that the matter is not properly seated at the ICJ. And those determinations were positive that the matter is in the right place to be the subject to a final judgment.
Dr. Brown, I have a question from one of our listeners who asked about the history of this border conflict and saying that it has to do with Britain's acquisition of Guyana, implementing a border which Venezuela objected to. One of our comments on YouTube also says we need to go back and look at the history. Did the Dutch, who once owned Guyana, sell it to the British? Then they had some Germans do the borderlines, encroach on Venezuela area. You care to expand on that?
Well, you see, those
Issues.
examinations of the historical sequence are relevant and important to what is going on, but also take us into the meat of the case and the positions being advanced by the both sovereign nations. So Guyana has a particular view of the history of its border, revolving principally around the 1899 arbitral award, which was very clear as to where the border lies. Venezuela has a different view. So I don't want to get into a detailed examination of that historical sequence, because that really is the meat of the determination that is before the ICJ at this time. But what I can say is that what we are experiencing is an unfortunate consequence of our history. The colonial hand, which was very active in this part of the world, much of our region, because we are islands, with the exception of Hispaniola, which is for a different discussion, but because we are islands, have been spared of division over the centuries. But South America, Central America, Africa, and much of Asia were not spared in that regard, and even the Middle East, as you know. So where these borders lie, when they were determined, who was in the room when those determinations were made, were people properly represented, and were national and views within the jurisdiction properly represented. Those are the details that have made for controversy. And the same applies with the border between Belize, which is a CARICOM member state, and Guatemala. And the same applies elsewhere, that overall the colonial hand having implications to this day. But again, I don't want to get in, you would understand, to those minutiae, because therein lies the substance of the dispute, and those matters are before the ICJ for final determination. But we do understand the position and submissions of Venezuela in this matter. We may not agree with all of them, but as a sovereign state, Venezuela is advancing its interests. We continue to encourage a cooling of the situation. We call for wisdom to prevail, for respect for the provisional measures of the ICJ, and for this matter to be determined legally and in accordance with peaceful outcomes always.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's the ideal position, that the Caribbean, of course, wants to remain a zone of peace, as articulated by the heads in looking at this issue. But of course, Guyana may see it as an imminent existential threat to a part of its territory. And the issue of a military conflict, of course, will arise in the discussions. Is it that CARICOM in that emergency meeting looks at all variables? I know you wouldn't be able to be specific about what is going to be addressed, but is it going to look at all variables and permutations of this situation and where it could go? And how much is CARICOM liaising with its international partners in looking at the issue?
Well, CARICOM certainly continues to be in close communication with other regional and international organizations. I have an interest in this. As you would be aware, these investment system as well. Ghana has indicated that they directly approached the UN Secretary General and will be seeking to involve the Security Council as well, given the most recent dimensions of this matter. With respect to the dimensions and parameters of the heads emergency, the upcoming heads emergency discussion, I would not be able to be in a position to give those parameters, but what I can say is that when CARICOM heads meet on an issue such as this, the discussions are comprehensive, they are expansive, and they do allow for full and open discussion among the heads of government. And that would include, of course, Trinidad and Tobago, as always, and that would include the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, represented by President Irfan.
With that said, Dr. Browne, would we be expecting, given Trinidad and Tobago's history in the region and position in the region, that one, Dr. Raleigh will attend the meeting and participate, and two, TNT, given our proximity to both countries, be taking a leadership role in those discussions?
Sorry, I missed the question. I heard your comment.
Two-part question. Would Dr. Raleigh be participating and attending? And two, would TNT, given our positions geopolitically and geographically, be taking a leadership role in those discussions?
Trinidad and Tobago continues to leadership role in CARICOM. Dr. Raleigh is one of the most experienced heads of government in our community and is recognized, treated as such. Trinidad and Tobago will be fully participating, as we do in all gatherings of CARICOM and all sessions of government of the unity.
One of your charges, I'm sure, is on the ground in Venezuela, if that's correct. We have an ambassador on the ground in Venezuela.
And presenting.
Is our ambassador on the ground in Venezuela?
Sorry. Yes,
Dr.
absolutely.
Browne?
Ambassador Edmund Dillon is deployed in Venezuela. I hope you're hearing me a little better than I'm hearing you.
Yes, we are.
But the answer is yes. Our ambassador is deployed in Venezuela and very active with respect to his duties. And Venezuela also has an excellent ambassador in Port of Spain, with whom I am in constant communication and is serving to exchange information and to share updates in both directions. So in these matters, it's very important to be fully informed and engaged. I would go a little further to tell you, Senator, that I am in extremely frequent communication with my Guyanese counterpart, the Foreign Minister of Guyana, Hugh Todd, whereby we speak more frequently than on a daily basis. I'll put it that way. And again, Trinidad and Tobago's position and policy is strongly influenced by the inputs of these communications and, of course, our high regard for the importance of peace.
The recent precipitating event was the referendum on Sunday, and there's a lot of debate as to the voter turnout. Have you gotten any information that you can share from Ambassador Dillon where that is concerned, that we can get more clarity?
Yes, I do have some feedback from our embassy in Caracas with respect to, but we must bear in mind that these are internal processes of a sovereign nation, and I don't want to get too deep into characterization or mischaracterization of their internal activities. The concern is more what are the implications of those activities to its neighboring states and the regional environment. But with respect to the referendum, Venezuela indicated that they would proceed in that direction. They have done so. They have conducted a referendum. And the best comment I would make is that given the data that they have outputted, there was no independent monitoring of the statistics, but the information that they have shared with us indicate that the vast majority, well over 90% on each question, of the respondents reacted affirmatively to the questions posed in the referendum. I think the hub of your question, the core of your question, is around voter turnout, which has been characterized by Venezuelan sources as strong, given the political norms of participation in such a process. But from our indications, they will somewhere in the vicinity of 50% or thereabouts. I've seen one reflection that suggests the turnout was around 50%. Again, I don't want to get too deeply into, you would understand, because of our policy of non-interference in the internal affairs of nations. So they've done their referendum, and it has been characterized and reported in a certain manner. The core concern, notwithstanding what those details are, whether it was 95%, 98%, whether the turnout was 48 or 52, the core concern is this really should not have any implications for the peace and security of the people of Guyana, any negative implications. This should not have any impact on the current status quo, which is awaiting a final determination at the UN's Supreme Court, which is the International Court of Justice.
This may be a really self-serving question, but I'm a trainer to the bone. Is there an opportunity here for Trinidad Tobago?
Well, that's an interesting question. The dilemma, and I would be very frank with you, is that the Ghana has stated in the clearest possible fashion that they are in direct negotiation with Venezuela on this border matter. They discuss everything else, but not this issue. And therefore, it is not subject to mediation, facilitation, participation of an interlocutor, because as you know, the first principle of mediation is that both parties must voluntarily participate. So that is the clear position of Guyana, which has influenced, frankly, the position of CARICOM and the position of Trinidad and Tobago. Some of those, I believe your question is posed with noble intent, but I'm also of the belief that the opposition and some other forays into this matter have been motivated by ill intent, which is knowing that reality, are still trying to impose some prerogative on Trinidad and Tobago to insert itself in that manner, which would bring us in direct conflict with the stated interests of Guyana.
My question is not with the intention of
be undertaking.
My question is not with insertion, but certainly in crises, there are opportunities, and given our interest and relationship with both parties, one might proffer a theory that we may have an opportunity of some sort, economically or otherwise.
I respect that theory, and what I can say in a more direct response is that diplomacy involves what you say and what you don't say, and what you do and what you don't do. And there is a lot that occurs that does not come to public attention, and this matter is the subject of considerable input and energy and involvement by Trinidad and Tobago and other member states. We are not alone in this regard. We are the closest with respect to our proximity to Venezuela. But bear in mind that Suriname is a neighboring state of Guyana. Others, there are senior members of the community who remain very much involved on an ongoing basis. But a lot of that is behind the scenes. And even other neighbors in South America, Brazil and others, are very much involved in this particular dispute and the treatment thereof.
We just got a masterclass. We just got a masterclass in diplomacy. I'm going to quote that. Diplomacy is what you say and don't say, and what you do and don't do.
And you could add where you go and don't go.
Oh, well, you know that part.
Dr. Browne,
go ahead.
I couldn't let you go without raising the issue of Africa and more specifically Ghana, because following a visit of our Prime Minister to Ghana, an invitation was extended to the King of the Asante Kingdom, who came here a few months ago. And I know a lot of talk started to emanate concerning our policies with Ghana in particular. I want you care to make any comments on it? I know that you would have made comments back then.
Yes, absolutely. Our relations with Ghana are stronger now than they've ever been before, stimulated by the Prime Minister's visit to Ghana, an official visit to Ghana, the Ashanti King's recent visit in 2023 to Trinidad and Tobago, and more frequent diplomatic exchanges that have been occurring between our two nations. We are taking further steps toward the objective of opening a diplomatic mission in Ghana. The initial steps are being pursued, and there are various stages through which that processing will occur, and our National Reparations Committee, our recently reconstituted National Reparations Committee, was a matter of 2 weeks ago participants in an international conference in Ghana. They traveled to Ghana to participate in an international conference on reparations, which the government of Ghana convened on this very important topic. And as you know, Trinidad and Tobago has a very prominent and leading voice in that forum as well, in advocating for reparations for the historical injustices done by colonialism, the genocide of native peoples, and the enslavement of African sons and daughters. So the exchanges with Ghana have intensified and will be culminating in the opening of a formal diplomatic mission in that nation within the reasonable future. So TA and is being strengthened.
I just gave you a round of applause there.
We have a strategic interest or a strong connection.
So Minister, we might be hearing about Ambassador Wendell Stephen just now.
Well, add Paul Richards to that because we both visited Ghana recently.
That's I'm pleased to receive those
applications.
I'm good. Give it to Wendell.
Senator Paul, I consider Wendell Stephen already an ambassador for good sense, an ambassador for the development of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, diplomacy now.
Yeah, diplomacy.
The clear voice of the interests of our people on the radio and elsewhere. So
before we let you go, going back to the Venezuela-Guyana situation, it would be remiss of us to have you and not ask you. One of the to me major parties of interest is the United States, and Ambassador Candace Bond, no doubt, I'm sure is in communication with you because of the American interests in Guyana in particular. Have there been conversations between yourself and Her Excellency Ambassador Bond, that is, and what can you share with us? I know, as you said, diplomacy is what you say and don't say. A lot of closed door meetings are happening. What can you share with us about the American intent and interest where this is concerned?
What I can say in response to that question is, yes, we are in regular, ongoing communication with all key international and regional partners on this issue, and I am aware, as you are, that the United States of America is quite concerned, is engaged in rendering various forms of assistance to nations within the region, including Guyana, and remains very much a part of the discussion, as are other states in our hemisphere and in the wider international community.
Minister, before you, I know the interview is close to winding up. The issue of the CARICOM freedom of movement, I just wanted to touch on that. I know it's supposed to be operationalized from March 31st, 2024, where I believe all categories of jobs, regardless, that all citizens of CARICOM can enjoy free movement and work wherever. And I believe it will take some legislative
advancement,
tinkering with regard to various parliaments across the region. How far is Trinidad and Tobago with regard to this process?
Well, Trinidad, this is an advancement that only, as you said in the question, can only be advanced by coordinated and concerted action across the region. So one state or states cannot really achieve this objective on their own. Trinidad and Tobago, thank God, has caught up significantly with the rest of the region, and our two houses of parliament were very much involved in the last session in updating our immigration legislation to fall in line with the existing categories as approved by CARICOM heads. This next step, which is full free movement, was the subject of a decision at the 40th Heads of Government meeting and 50th anniversary celebrations in Port-au-Spain, where heads did make that clear decision. But again, the devil is in the details, and a very ambitious March threshold was identified. If you were to ask me this morning, and maybe you did ask me, whether that time frame will hold, I can respond frankly that there is some doubt in my mind that ambitious time frame will hold. But the decision and determination and conviction of heads that we must make progress and achieve full free movement is certainly guiding the technical and other discussions. There's a lot of work taking place involving our region's attorneys general, ministers of national security, and of course, the foreign ministers very much engaged. I tell you that right now, the Caribbean single market and economy focal points from 5 member states are here in Trinidad and Tobago. We are hosting them as an exchange program and capacity building, because they are important particular mechanism. So we're ensuring that we are all on the same page, but the advancement with those legislative and other steps is subject of considerable work that is ongoing and will continue into 2024. So the objective is clear and remains the same. The time frame, as I said, is quite ambitious. We're working toward it, but the March deadline, I can just give that signal, is considered maybe a challenge at this stage. We're working toward it.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Well, I think we're at the end of the interview. Dr. Browne, I hope to see your name on the ballot paper in the upcoming election. I'll tell you why when I see you personally, all right? But all the best. Thank you very much for this interview today.
Well, what an ending, but thank you very much. I, as always, enjoyed this discussion. I thought we may have gone to Gaza and the Middle East, but we've covered a lot of ground, and maybe on the next opportunity, we would have the chance to speak on some other issues. But thank you, as always, for engaging in these public discourse matters, and I remain available to interact with your program. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Amery Browne, for being our guest this morning. Appreciate it. All right, gentlemen.
Yep. Folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. And Paul, go sit by that fireplace. Get those things warmed.
Yeah, to see if you get some heat.
Get
some heat
heat.
in your life. Get some
Warm up
heat
the
in your life.
Warm up the
Get some
chestnuts, right?
heat. Paul.
You all have a great day. Be safe, okay?
Have a great one, people. Remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. Wherever you are, whatever you do, keep that in mind. Have a great one. Speak to you bright and early tomorrow morning.
All right, gentlemen. Have a great day. Have a safe one as well. All right. Let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief. Of course, Evie is in.